Well, what's up? It's another episode of the Motley Croc Show. We were waiting to get Brittany on, so we ran a little bit of a second video overlay there so anybody could see what was going on with that. So for those of you that don't know, this is my youngest sister. This is Brittany Barbieri. As you can see her name, say it right, Barbieri.
Barbieri.
There you go. And she's a ufologist, and she also has a lot of experience with paranormal and Bigfoot. So we might touch on some interesting subjects there. We were going to record earlier with Nate, but he was out at a baseball game, so I kind of had to jump ahead of the game and get her on because she has kids and young ones, and there's only certain times we can record. So unless we plan on being here all night, not going to be. Remember, like I said, guys, this is a pre-recorded show. We are not here live tonight in person. This is a new show, but it is pre-recorded tonight. However, comments will be open, so we can start from that. You guys can comment, and I'll be looking at them as much as I can, and I'm sure Nate will, and so will anybody else who wants to keep adding in. So, Brittany, what's a ufologist? Let's start off with that.
So basically, in the field, it's a lot of people say it's different types of ways. Say the word different types of ways. They'll say ufologist, UFOologist, but it's actually pronounced ufologist, and that was created by the wonderful J. Allen Hynek, who is I love him so much. But the whole study is basically everything that has to do with UFOs, USOs, UAPs, aliens, extraterrestrials, abductees, contacts, anything, you name it. So it all falls into sorts. So been studying it for a long time. And then I actually took an online course from a university in the UK and became certified. But I was certified with the help of my mentor, Don Schmidt. And I love him to pieces.
Don Schmidt. That's pretty cool.
Don is badass. He is like, he's all Roswell, all things Roswell. But I swear, I think the military is like, this guy, we have to watch him. And Don would laugh because he'd be like, oh, yeah, they are. I don't care. But he's that guy that like puts his foot in the door and says, you're not closing it until you tell me what's going on behind this door. Like, he is just so badass. Like, he's great. I love Don. He's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's cool because there's a lot of weird things. I'm pretty skeptical on a lot of things. Most people know me. I mean, yes, I'm into wildlife and stuff. I'm not sure if there's Bigfoots out there. I know you believe in Bigfoots. And if anybody does believe in Bigfoot or they've had a scene, put it in the comments. Let's talk about it for sure. Definitely, or an experience, and then we'll maybe bring you on and see what we can do about talking about that. But so Bigfoots, are there Bigfoots in Florida for sure? Do we know that, or do we know that?
Well, there's been a lot. I mean, there's been a lot of evidence. I mean, there has been people. We have a significant amount of teams here that do a lot of research. I mean, there was even in Lakeland, they just did their first annual Sasquatch Bigfoot convention, and a lot of people were there, and it was really interesting to see the foot casts that were out on the table and to see all of the people that are basically out in Mayaca and out in Ocala and out in Gainesville and all these areas and in the Everglades, and their stories and their photographs are, I mean, I can't combat it. It's pretty, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But from what they're presenting, I mean, it's all the signs of activity. And as much as, I mean, I love Bigfoot, so I know he's out there. So I don't care what he says, he's out there. And I know that he's like, Brittany, he's going to be wood knocking for me because he knows I love him. And
oh my God.
Yeah, I'm going to find him. But, I mean, I have these conversations all the time with like Professor Jeff Meldrum and things like that of what they are or what they could be. And I think that they're very intelligent. I think they're a lot more intelligent than, they're not this ridiculous monster that the media likes to put out there. I mean, I really believe we're dealing with a very either extinct indigenous or what was believed to be extinct indigenous person or a type of lineage possibly. Yeah, like, I mean, from what we don't really know a whole lot, but I mean, everybody always says, where's the bodies? Where's the bones? You have no proof. You have no proof. And I'm always like, okay, well, you know what? There's a lot of animals that bury, and maybe you should know your facts because, and there's scavengers too. What people don't realize, they think, oh, well, if something dies in the woods, right? The bones are just going to be there, guys. Why can't you just go out and find a body? Well, there's scavenger animals out there too that find these dead carcasses and they rip it apart and they take bones away. And then there's fragments of pieces scattered everywhere because Troy, that animals do that in the wild. It's nature.
They do. I mean, and I think, but I mean, if you're talking about, primates are a little bit different. And I think maybe the fact that, maybe give or take that they bury their dead, maybe. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, they might. They may bury their dead for a lot of reasons. I mean, predation or no tracking or nobody not to be found or whatever reason they go for. But yeah, I totally think that there's a reason for you don't see stuff. Now, just because I said I'm not sure now, is it true your husband doesn't believe in it? So John doesn't believe in Bigfoots. He thinks it's all ridiculous, but because he is a Sasquatch, he's a big dude. But at the end of the day, but when you think about it, just because I say, anybody here, you don't have to necessarily believe something, but I would like to see one. Like if there was an opportunity that I could go out and see one of those things, it would be amazing. Like, even looking at animals in the zoo, like monkeys, any type of monkey or primate in the zoo of any sort, monkey or great apes, for example, just to see them is pretty overwhelming. To look at an adult male gorilla or adult female gorilla. Young ones are cool too, but when they're full size and they're impressive and they're looking at you, I think that there's something about that. So yeah, if I was to see a Bigfoot like that, I think a lot of people agree it'd probably be an overwhelming feeling. I don't know that I would be necessarily scared, but at the end of the day, I don't know.
Yeah, like I've always said to myself, what would I do if I saw a Bigfoot or Sasquatch? I really think I'd freeze. Like when you believe in something so much and you've been telling people your whole life, I know it's there, it's real, and then it's actually standing right in front of you. I just think you'd freeze. I think there's that natural like
real friendship, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right there. It's right in front of you.
But it's true though, I just feel like I don't think I'd move. Like if this thing is mean, as some claims are that they, rip people apart, I'd probably die in the hands of Bigfoot because I really think I would just freeze and be like, oh, I knew it.
So, so what about all there's a lot of like myths and stuff that I don't know. Well, everything's a myth when it comes to Squatch, but they say that they kidnap kids and they take people and they rape women and stuff. You think that? I've seen some people at Walmart that look like they could be half Sasquatch. I'm serious. Like you're like, listen, dude, somebody fucked a Squatch. Because Eddie Murphy talked about it a long time ago in one of his albums, and but there's some people that look like they could be half Squatch. Like just you know what I'm saying?
Let's go throughout history though. That's historic. Everybody thinks like Bigfoot came around in like the 1960s. But that's not true. We go back centuries of the wild man, the hairy wild man that would like live in the woods.
Couldn't that just been somebody with a lot of hair on them? Or, does it have to be a per se, or like, are they saying?
But I think when people think of Sasquatch, they think of this ape. But take away the ape. What if it's a primitive man, right? We know of the genetic gene.
A 9 foot tall primitive man.
They're not 9 feet tall. They're like between 7 to 8 on average. Like honestly, here's the other thing: when people see Sasquatch. Okay.
So most basketball players don't have to be scared because they're taller than Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But really, there should be more basketball players hunting Bigfoot than us just because they're taller.
Yeah. Maybe at their
that's a good size. There's guys out there that are 7 feet taller and plus.
Oh, basketball players.
So they can straight up like whip a Sasquatch's ass if they wanted to. Then probably.
But if you think about it though, like these claims that come out, they're always like, oh my God, I'm going to say it was like 7, 8 feet tall. I'm going to come out and say between 8 and 9 feet tall.
Okay.
You have to take into the account that when the person is seeing this, because one, you all freak out no matter what, because it's not normal. You don't see a Sasquatch every day. It is not normal to you.
No.
You are also going to have a moment of fright, anxiety, stress. A lot of emotions are going to go through your body, and you're trying to do sight perception. How tall do I think this thing is, right? So even when I say, oh, I think my walls in my house are like 15 feet, people are like, no, they're only 10. All right. Because it's a sight perception. So I feel from the research that we're looking at something because there's no body specimen to measure accurately off of, right? I just think that a lot of times the sight perception is slightly off. I don't think these things are like 9 to 12 feet tall. I think that they're between, on average, 7 to 9, right? Okay. Somewhere in there, which is not unheard of or abnormal by any means. But if you take away the primate aspect to it, and you look at it more hominid, like a human, right? Like a
hominid, right?
Right. So if you take it into that perspective, then you're looking at it more like a person. Like there are hunters that have claimed that have come in contact with a Sasquatch, an indigenous person, as they claim to have looked at it as, and said, When I looked at it, I looked like right through its soul, like it was a person. I couldn't shoot it. I felt like it was murder.
That's kind of interesting, though. I mean,
Right?
I understand that, though.
So
I
couldn't
can understand that. I wouldn't want to shoot any type of animal, anyways. But I mean, yeah, primate or Bigfoot would be closer to us, so it'd be kind of weird to do that. Yeah, I
right.
guess.
And these are hunters though that go out and hunt. They don't. An animal is, this is a purpose. This is meat. This is food. I'm bringing this home. But the ones that have seen these Sasquatch, they've said in the eyes, like the ones that have made direct contact, have said it was like looking into the soul of a person, and I felt if I shot it, it was like murder, and I couldn't go through with it. And as soon as I saw them, they were gone. You know, wow. So it's that really cool moment that they had that brings you to this reality of it. It's like, you know, the men are in the woods, right? Like deer, men are in the woods, run. Okay, how do we not know that this species, this specimen has known? They capture, they kill, they murder. So we're teaching our children over time, and centuries go on. You stay in the woods. You stay in the woods. You don't get seen. And you know your house better than anybody. So if somebody comes in your house to come after you, you're going to know where you can hide in your house, that guy's not going to find you, and you're going to sneak attack him, right? So no better place in the woods than a Bigfoot to know his location, his house, his domain.
No, I mean, I you know, listen, it's all that's a good. It's all theory still, but yeah, that's a really good. I mean, that's a very
everything
good.
is a theory. Everything is a theory until proven factual. Just like Darwin, it's still a theory, yet it's taught as fact in our college, right? In our textbooks. But it is still considered Darwin's theory because they say we don't have that link. We need that missing link to be considered the fact. And then through, you know,
I get it. I get it.
Bigfoot's not a missing link, but it's not. They need something else.
No, I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, though. Like, I mean, that, you know, with that type of, I'm trying to think of the word. It is a theory, but it's, you know, it's I guess it's kind of still fictional until it's, you know, or science fiction.
Well, that's like, you would know this,
science
right?
Fiction.
Like cryptozoology, right? Everybody. Okay.
Sure.
You know the animal world probably better than most. And you know that.
Well, I don't know about that, but thank you.
But you know what I mean? And so when you think about these animals where they say, oh, they're extinct, they no longer exist, it's not possible. And then all of a sudden, boom, it exists. And they're like, oh, we're sorry. We missed that. What page was that on? Okay. Right.
Yeah.
It tickles me that in the 1930s, they attacked this gentleman who believed in cryptozoology and he studied it. And he kept saying that the Komodo dragon was this real entity. There was like this 7-8 foot dragon living and dealing with these poor natives and it's killing them. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to get one. And everybody was like, it's not real. It's not real. So it went into the cryptozoology platform of this.
Yeah, I remember. I read about that Komodo dragons were. Wow. That's a good fact. Good fact.
And he goes, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go and I'm going to go get them and I'm going to bring them back. And you're going to.
Yeah, now they're like famous in zoos. Everybody loves them.
Yeah, and now they go over and they film them. I have my friend Shannon Wild. She's out there. She's in the middle of them, filming them for Nat Geo. So you're sitting there going, huh, that's so funny that you guys didn't believe in this animal that all these people saw, including the tribe people that dealt with this monstrous being that was killing their families. And he had to bring it back and say, here it is. Here's the proof. Now, it's much harder with Bigfoot. I get it. But a Komodo dragon is a lot easier than like an 8 foot tall ape-like creature that knows the woods really well. And we don't know what they're
I really think the dragons give a fuck. Because if those of you ever watch Komodo dragons or how they do shit, they really don't care. One will bite one and then they all sit around the family like it's a family gathering for a barbecue waiting for the fucker to die, and then they start ripping it apart before it's even fully dead. So they weren't caring about hiding because then like, well, we'll just eat you. I mean, it's not, we don't care, we'll just eat you. So
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, no, I follow some of that stuff and but I follow it, meaning I read about it, but not the Komodo dragons. So everybody don't get upset. I know there's Komodo dragons, but Bigfoots, man, like is a weird subject, or even aliens. Like I'll never say that I don't believe in aliens. I would have less belief in a Bigfoot than I would aliens because anybody from any type of different area is an alien on the planet, first of all. And then anybody that comes from, or any being, I should say, any body of life that comes from outer space would be an alien. But there has to be something. Like we can't be with the technology we have and the things that we're growing into now and doing. And I know that we're ruining a lot of stuff with it too. Don't get me wrong, but besides that, I mean, with the technology that we have today and what we got going on, it'd be very simple-minded to say that there's nothing else. You know, a lot of people blame religions, and that's another problem for me. Religion to me, I know that everybody's got their faith or whatever, and they're real sensitive about it, and that's fine. And I'm not trying to change your mind, but more of you are trying to change mine. But at the end of the day, I think that religion is very what's the word? Corruptful. So they say now that if they talk about aliens coming in and all this and that all the religions in the world are going to freak out. And they're going to like be upset, and they're going to say like, you know, oh my God, and it'll be chaos. But I'm just not too sure. But I mean, there's a lot of different things with that. But that's just how I feel about it. But there's definitely something out there.
No, I mean, you're spot on with that. I mean, that is the claims that they say. They always say, oh, if this was to leak, you know, the religious people, that's it. You know, the whole world would collapse on itself. It's like,
I
no,
don't think so.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. And I mean, hell, even for me, I believe in God and I believe in all of that, but I still believe in aliens. And it's the biggest question asked to me all the time, but you can't believe in both. How do you believe in both? And I said, you know why? Because it says he was the creator of all. So are you telling me that he was like, oh, I just made Earth and walked away? Whew, that was long. But we have all these galaxies and planets upon planets upon galaxies. I mean, are you kidding me right now? No, we're not the only.
Well, of course. I mean, you know,
that's just. That to me is simple-minded, closed-minded individuals that don't think out of the box to sit there and go, we can't. But that's my personal opinion. That's how I feel of being closed-minded. And I want to open people's minds to just go, it doesn't affect your religion. It doesn't affect your beliefs. It gives you something to look forward to. However, media has destroyed the image of alien or extraterrestrial because it's like, they're going to come down, they're going to take all of you and they're going to eat you. Or they're all going to come down, they're going to take over your planet, and they don't need you, and you're all going to be slaves. I mean, they've just done.
That's probably what's going to happen. I mean, like I'm not going to want to walk outside and see a big mothership out there lasering all my neighbors. I mean, a couple of my neighbors maybe, but not all of them. And I think that, you know, that's like, I mean, that's a touchy subject for anybody watching. I mean, they got to understand that'd be. I mean, who wants to go outside and see that? You're like, whoa, what's that? There's no sunlight today. It must be cloudy. You look up and it's like a huge, whatever the fuck it is hanging out there. I don't know how well that's going to go over, man. That's like a fart in church. Oh, that's going to fly. Not good. So, I mean, I'm with you on that, but you know, I mean that, you know, I don't understand why people there's a lot of people that don't, you know, religious people don't even believe in dinosaurs. And so,
right.
You know, you have to question someone's ability to, I wouldn't take anything a person like that would say serious. Like, seriously. I mean, there's so much unexplained stuff out there that I leave it like that. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's God. I don't care if it's aliens or Sasquatch. Whatever people know or whatever they do, that's their thing. You know what I mean? Like, so you can't.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to bash it, but I would definitely have to question, you know. I think that everybody should watch Bill Maher's Religious List first, that whole show, and then we only come back out and talk about that. I mean, like, because it's all about what you think inside, and that's fine. Like, I don't hate people that believe that Sasquatches are there, or the ones that think that he kidnaps women and rapes them. I don't care about that either. If that's what they want to believe, that's fine. I mean, but cryptozoology is fun.
Yep,
it's fun.
I mean, I believe in crazy things. I believe in a lot of conspiracy theories. I believe in theories. I'm very open to believing in everything. I don't live in that box. So I don't know what it's like to live in that box of like, well, but that's not what I was taught. And I don't believe that could be possible. And it always fascinates me when I get those people that come and talk to me, because what I find really engaging is that all of a sudden when you start talking to them and you start putting some pieces together, it's almost like they go, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that before. You know? And I love it because I sit there and I go, why are you so closed off to this? Like, look at the world around you. Just think about it for just a second, you know? And then I talk to them about a couple of things. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know, I didn't think about that before. I really like that. I really like that. You know, and I said, it's just a theory. Everything in life that we have is a theory until proven fact, right? It's just theories. Right. If we didn't have theories, we wouldn't have light bulbs on our tables. We wouldn't have the internet. We wouldn't have the computers that we're making this amazing video right now through this podcast. So if people didn't think out of the box and think about theories or make theoretical hypotheses about all these really cool things that could be, well, we wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't be as advanced.
You know, I think theories are a really good thing, but don't ever forget that the powers that be. Let's just say, I mean, a lot of people use the words of government or whatever, but let's go back thousands of years. I mean, religion was kind of the only government you had. So nobody, they don't want people thinking outside the box, because if you think outside the box, then you can become a creator and you can do things that only they want to be able to do, like only things that should be benefiting them. Like for say, so, like, oh my gosh, if you do that, you're going right to hell, and they're like, whoa. And when you're little, they're like, listen, if you get in trouble when you're older and you die, you're going to burn in hell forever, dude. Like, right. Your ass is on fire and your butthole burns and your balls are going to burn. You're going to ask for water and they're going to go, you don't get water. And when you're a little kid and you tell them shit like that, you're like, oh my God, I can't do that. What are you talking about? I'll never get a tattoo. If I get a tattoo, I'm going to go to hell for the rest of my life. I'm not going to do that. Like, we're so worried about what's going to happen when we're dead, then forget about living. So at the end of the day, it's idiocracy to me, man. I won't sit here and I don't believe in all that stuff where, they picked me because I'm dedicated, or they let your kid fucking died because I prayed harder. That kind of stuff to me, like I can never absorb that I can never absorb that and accept it. Now, right. You can have your faith. Like I said, I think praying's good, but praying's for the person, not to the God, or not to the God they're praying to. Praying, it helps you. It helps you vent your hopes and the belief in something stronger. Just so when someone does stuff like that, I just well, why is my kid alive? I was a Christian and mine's dead and yours is good and mine's not, or I'm Muslim, or I'm a Satanist, or I'm a whatever. Well, you can be whatever you want, but that's not going to intercede with anything down here.
Right.
I think this is just a journey you have to go through, no matter what. So, right. I'll talk in circles about it all night. So, no one can tell me. You'll never change my mind. So you're not going to be like, oh, I know because I saw. That's like someone saying, Brittany, I know for a fact I saw the Constitution and said all Sasquatch were dead and they're not there anymore. And you're never really going to believe that. You know what I mean?
Nope.
So.
But like I've always said, everybody has their own convictions, and it's your relationship with your religion. It's your relationship with God. It's your relationship with how you perceive God. That is person to person, and they always use the word conviction, but it's true. That's on you and your relationship with God, and it's never my place to come in and say, if you are, if you're whatever Baptist, whatever your belief is, wherever your religion sits. I'm not that person to just jam it down your throat that you're wrong. I don't like that at all. I don't, because I'm a religious person, but I still believe in all of this stuff that is what would be considered anti-religion. But I just don't put the two and two together as a sense of like, well, if I believe in this, I can't believe in that. I go, no, I just don't believe that way. But if that's my personal opinion, that's my personal take on it. And I just like, if somebody asks my personal opinion, I will be honest and tell them that. But I'm never going to just come to somebody and be like, oh my God, like you're just so ridiculous because you believe in that. Like, that's just terrible. And that happens to me quite a bit. I get that a lot. I can't believe you believe in Bigfoot. That's so stupid. It's like, okay, well, it makes me happy. And I have my Bigfoot in my yard and my Bigfoot shirts and I love it. Like, oh, well.
See, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not wrong at all. I mean, for someone to have a faith or believe in something, I think that's cool. To me, Bigfoot's like something that adults can have to believe in, like kids doing Santa Claus. Like
yeah.
But I'm not saying I don't want to see one, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know for a fact they're not there. I don't know that. Chances are they're probably not anymore. But I mean, it might be, and I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to be like, no, they're not, because I really don't know. So at the end of the day, it's one of those things.
I guess the word is I want to believe. Like, I want them to be real. But what scares me, and I'm sure like everybody would agree, and those that believe in Bigfoot, what scares me about if they are real and someone is able to capture one, then it's just going to become a test dummy. And I don't want that to happen. I'd rather, if they're out there, I want them to be protected, just like we have endangered species that we protect, because who knows what they really are? Who knows how long they've been here and why? And I don't want them to become an experiment to find out and tortured, because we have history of that. And I don't want that to happen to them. We have history of torture with UFOs and aliens. And I don't want that happening to anybody. I don't want that happening to anybody. Not even extraterrestrials.
Not at all.
So.
No, so I mean, so that's a really wild thing. I mean, so I just want to touch on it because we never really touch on it. And I know that we're planning on, I'm been talking to somebody like a pretty renowned psychic to come on and talk about some of the ghost busting he's done and some of the what's the word, like crazy shit, I guess, for lack of a better term, that's gone on for him that he's seen and the way things are. And he's really not afraid to talk about it like he sees it. So it's going to be an interesting situation, I think, especially bringing him on. I think Nate and I'll have a good time with him and you know what I mean? It'll be pretty good. And for those of you still watching, it's a pre-recorded show. Read the title. I want to make sure that you know that it's pre-recorded. I am currently here, but I'm not here and I'm out of town at the moment. So every now and then I want to throw a pre-recording just so we can keep you guys here. So, you know, you can talk to us, but I do see you. I will see your comments. I'll be looking at your comments again, just to kind of remind you of that. Check all that stuff out too, as well. And make sure you write in so we can follow back up. And this will be airing live. Even though it's pre-recorded, it'll be airing live, so I'll be able to see when I can, and Nate will definitely be able to see it too, so kind of cut it out a little bit. But back to business. Yeah, so at the end of the day, we'll bring someone on like that. We'll talk about some psychic stuff and seeing ghosts. I mean, there's a lot of things. Like I'm sure, you know, people have seen things out of the corner of their eyes or, you know, or is it supernatural? Is this place haunted? Is this really haunted? Did they do that? Did they do this? So I was just wondering if, you know, we've talked about aliens and Bigfoots. What's your take on ghosts and why do you think they're still here? Like, are they? Why would you think that they would be around still and not moved on? When you want to move on, I'd want to move on.
I'd move on. I would absolutely move on. I mean, I mean, as you know, I've been investigating paranormal ghosts. Like I say paranormal, and everybody thinks, "Oh, that's ghosts," but paranormal is the whole spectrum. Right. I've been investigating ghosts since like the beginning, since I first started on this paranormal journey. So I was like, what, 14, 15, I guess I was when I started really getting the equipment and investigating. But it's really hard for me because I've heard many things throughout investigating. I've heard they don't know they're dead. I've heard, and that is a very prominent one. And I always had a really hard time digesting that. I never understood why. And then I also had the whole, which I have a story I want to tell you, and you're going to crack up laughing. I'll get to it in a second. It involves an animal, but it's hilarious. But I've also felt like, I think people too, in some cases, and I'm probably wrong because I'm not a psychic, so I don't know. But I've always felt in some investigations that what I'm dealing with is somebody's demon they've left behind in place of them. Okay. That I'm not really dealing with them, but they're in the image of that person because it was that person's demon that remained. That's the theory. Taking the image of that person that is giving me that projection and is talking to me as that person, but it's really not that person. And
that's a crazy theory, dude. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then, I mean, but that's just one theory. And then I have another theory where I think in some cases where we think we're dealing with a ghost who we think through your EVPs and stuff is saying that they're dead. I don't think that they're actually dead. And right. I think it's a bend in time, like a time slip. And I actually think that we're dealing with the past and present at the same time. And I think in both accounts, they're both having a paranormal experience. So I think that they think they're seeing a ghost and we're seeing a ghost, but we're both alive at the same time. It's just a weird slip. And the reason I bring that up is because I've studied Gettysburg. I've studied some personal journals of indications from homes in the 1800s that have claimed to be haunted. And what I noted and what I love is if you go through, it talks about how, let's say the door open and close. I saw a body go through this part of the wall, right? Okay. Yep. Well, I find out that in the structure of the home, that wall was new. That was part of the floor plan that wasn't there. So if you have a residual, it's going to keep going on that pattern because that wall was not there. So this ghost isn't going through a wall. That wall was not there when that energy was imprinted, right, through death. Okay, so you have to pay attention to the floor plan of a house. That's the first thing I look for. Okay. Secondly, if you're dealing in journals of where I think that these two are overlapping is because you'll note some of the things that they say that they heard or the way things turned on and on in their home, you know, these little subtle things that you start picking up. And I started doing that. But there was an account in Gettysburg that really, well, there were several accounts in Gettysburg. So there's actually a professor who's studying the time bending theory in Gettysburg. But there was an account from a woman who was in Gettysburg with her kids on a family vacation, and they were coming up over one of the bridges, and they were filming it during the day, having a time of their life. And I think her son was like, I don't know, 12 or 13, if I remember correctly. This was something I had heard. And basically, she was saying that on the bridge was a young man in military garb holding a gun.
Wow.
She thought he was an actor, like somebody on the field that day acting as this. And she basically was like, "Oh, I want a picture, you know, like, can you have a picture with my son?" And he turned the gun on her. And she said what startled her was his eyes. He was in fear. And he was literally aiming the gun directly at the both of them. And she said she grabbed her kid and was like, "Hey," you know, and as she was talking to him in this instant, he just disappeared. So she said, "I felt like we both saw each other and we weren't supposed to see each other. Like he was scared to see me and I was scared to see him, but I know that I know what I saw." And she asked people, "Did you have somebody dressed up today in garbs that was like 19, 18 years old?" And they're like, "No, there's no reenactments today. That's not till the fall or whatever." And she was just like, "Okay, well, I know what I saw." And it's really weird. And what's really interesting is that
it's like a time cross.
right. And in Gettysburg, there's so much quartz crystal and limestone underneath the ground that after a thunderstorm and severe lightning, that is when all these videos come forward, right? Where people are like, "Look at this, I'm seeing ghosts in Gettysburg." But I think some of that is because they're charging the Earth's crystals. And everybody knows in our laptops and our computers,
Sure.
Quartz is in there. It's all shaved in. Well, it's part of making movies. It's what records. Quartz record. The actual stone records. So when you have this, and it's literally layers upon layers, if it's charged, what do you think it's going to do? What do you do when you record on your phone? You watch a video from something that was months, years ago. So you're literally charging the ground of Gettysburg, and you're watching a movie on the highest level of energy, which is when? During a thunderstorm. So you have a conduit, awesome, and you have all the thunderstorms that are charging the quartz. You're literally sitting in Gettysburg in that time frame in a movie. You might as well just eat popcorn and like have the best time.
Yeah, dude, I think that's great. That's so true. Wow.
But that's the history. That's all the research I've done, and it's amazing. I mean, you could build a building with how much quartz crystals are just underneath the ground.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine though if they finally get that stuff up and they're able to withdraw some of that neat shit that it recorded when it happened?
Yeah.
Like, you'd be able to visualize it. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Could you believe that? You'd be like watching history for real. You wouldn't have to have
awesome.
Of like, well, I think it says that so-and-so killed so-and-so.
Yeah, I know. It'd be great.
Be amazing.
Imagine finding quartz that's recorded prehistoric dinosaurs and stuff.
Oh, could you imagine?
I mean, dinosaurs aren't real, folks.
No, they were placed here.
They were placed here to make you not believe in the devil.
Hey, I'm not going to attack anybody because I know that there are people that truly believe that. I hope that one day they take a second and look at it for real, for what that is.
Yeah, because that's a tangible thing. I mean, I don't know how the government puts phones or whatever.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but you know, there are certain things I just don't understand, and that's to each their own. But I just hope that one day they open their mind to go, okay, wait a minute, I need to take a look at this for a second and really look at
right.
Just because, you know, it just is a personal feeling. It's, you know, you got to really think about it. That's like the giants covered up in America. There's so much with that I just go, you got too many articles here. And Abraham Lincoln himself wrote about the giant bones he saw and witnessed, and he even spoke about it at the Niagara Falls in his speech. And there's too much. So there's too much cover up going on, and there's too much history, and I don't know. I just feel like some of it needs to be pressured a little more to have more truth come out, because you do the research and you really push on the topics and you start pinpointing things. You go, oh, wait a minute now, that ain't right.
No, it's not. That's crazy.
I smell cover up.
No, that's true. That's true.
But on time bending, I think it's a real thing. Everybody wants to poo-poo Tesla and Einstein on certain stuff that they came up with, but Einstein's theories three of them have already been proven fact.
Oh, yeah, sure. I wouldn't put it past it right now that we have portals or stargates that people are using, you know, like the TV shows we saw stuff when we were younger. But I mean, we're not going to know about it, but I'm sure that they're doing stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to think that way. Sometimes you just want to be normal and just like, hey, you know what? Let's go to a movie tonight, or hey, how about some dinner? Not worried about some motherfucker jumping through some space portal, coming and fucking around with you from another time or world. You know, I mean, nobody has to think about that. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, it's probably really there. So we have to definitely look into that and, you know, really understand that there's bigger things going on. I mean, the world's been very weird lately. Let's not. It's just a shift in power, but it's very weird, and there's a lot of really weird things going on that, you know.
There's a lot happening.
When you think something can't be done anymore, man, they just come up with something and they do it. And you're like, well, seen it all now, but have you really? So, you know, there's so many topics it's that are sensitive you can't even get into because everybody's got such a strong opinion on it that the world itself right now is just, I mean, canceling comics and you know, making fun of this or hating on that. I just don't. I mean, to me, everything should just be fun and games. Just don't hurt people, but have some fun. But everybody's canceling people and yelling about this and their way's better, or they're a fascist. I mean, there's just so much. You can't even get started on it. So the Molly Croc Show is just a simple way for me to have fun and vent and talk to people we care about and have a good time until we all blow ourselves up and we fucking die, and then we never really know anything. So I mean, that's just what's going to happen, probably.
Well, it's just interesting because, you know, I'd like to ask like the viewers, you know, there's the UFO report that came out, which the government basically said and didn't say what it was, which was nice. You know, we've been waiting for that for a long time, and then they're like, well, we're not saying it's not extraterrestrial, but we're not saying it's not extraterrestrial. It's like, okay, we get that, we knew that, so you know nothing. That's what we all assumed. You know nothing of what's coming to our planet and visiting. That's great. Thanks, guys. Thanks for that. So, and it, you know,
what they do,
whatever. Oh, of course. You know, I think there's a level of which they don't understand and they don't know. They don't want to come out to the public and be like, hey, guys, we're really dumb. We don't really know what's going on, but we probably should fear them because we don't understand their intelligence. But they haven't done anything to us yet. So it's been pretty cool. But we don't know what all these other crafts are. I mean, you know, we had this deal with them, and now all of a sudden they're sending these other guys, but we don't know if those are the same guys.
Yeah, for all they know, that could be another country sending stuff in that they just got some super technology they created that we're just unaware of it. I mean, nobody really knows.
No, it's a mystery box, to be honest.
Right. When nobody knows for sure.
No, because I always loved the theory that it was like time travelers from the future that were coming back to see where we were if we had advanced, or to stop us from making a mistake in the future that we made, and they're coming back to fix it. You know, that's why they're shutting down our missiles at locations in the military. I mean, we had one location, and it's actually noted, people can pull it up, that a UFO was spotted over like a military holding spot for a lot of the bombs. There was like 250 bombs on location. And at the exact same time the UFO came over, it disarmed all of the missiles, all of them at the exact same time. And all the military men saw it. They were all present. All of them shut down. And to this day, all those men were like, I can't explain it. How do you explain that? I can't explain that. So it's like, okay, well, that does fall in the theory of what if people from the future, even though people are like time travel, that's not real. It's like, really? Listen, go on to NASA.com right now. I want all the viewers to listen. Go to NASA.com and type in their little search box, X spots. X spots. You are not going to believe what you read. You know what they are? They're portals that NASA had been researching within our own universe and planet Earth. And what they wanted to do in 2014, I believe, they started this robot mission. When all these X spots started popping up and closing, they're like, holy crap, or there's black holes popping up on our planet Earth sphere. Oh my God. Well, no, what was happening was they're tiny little black holes, wormholes that were opening up. Then they come out and they said, oh my God, I think they're portals. Where do they go? Where do they lead? People thought this was fiction. It's on NASA.com. NASA was investigating this. And literally they were creating robots because you know what they wanted to do? They wanted to send a robot through it and see where it spit it out. And they actually came out saying, we don't know where it might spit out. A different place in the galaxy, back in time, who knows what's going to happen? But they were excited about it. And then when NASA was closed in 2000 and was it 15, 16, somewhere in there, when it closed down, I don't remember the exact year, so don't quote me, don't hate me. But that whole mission had to close up because they couldn't continue their work because NASA closed. But they were actually trying to build robots because it's happening around our atmosphere and they don't know what they are. But imagine if what they caught on to were these amazing portals that are opening up, and that's where these extraterrestrials are flying in and out of.
That would be to me, that would be a pretty logical explanation. I mean, I would think that that's exactly, I mean, you know, because if you look at a star, right, and say you had a super, super heavy duty telescope that could look back from that star, if they were looking back from that star right now, we'd still be dinosaur era.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So nobody knows that. I mean, think about that. If they were seeing what they see now, if they were seeing us now, they would just be looking at dinosaurs because of how long it took, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. But now
That's weird to me when you try to put that together in your head. You're like, what? But it's cool.
But see, but my mentor, like Don Schmidt, who he got the chance to work alongside Alan Hynek, which was amazing. For 8 years, they worked together and they created
badass.
Yeah, CUFOS, which is his organization that he's a part of, and it's amazing. And he's got so much stuff coming out. And he's got a lot of books. You can read all his books. I have almost all of them. I know he's going to kill me for not having a couple of them. I love you, Don. I promise I'll buy them all. But anyway, he actually, through his own personal research, has come out saying, I don't think that they're from the ones that are here that we see all the time, like the constant. He thinks that they're already here.
Okay.
And they've been here for a long time. And that's why we see them so frequently, because they're not traveling all these hundreds of thousands of miles all the time. They're here. And in some places, he believes in the idea that they are within our planet under the water surfaces of the deepest parts of our oceans. And then they come out because we have USOs. People have seen USOs. The military is now finally saying, okay, here's some release footage. It's not fake. Here it is. Okay. You know, with the USO stuff. So it's interesting. And I love that idea and that theory of going, well, maybe they have been here all this time. And that's why it doesn't take so long. So it is definitely a theory, you know, but then
they got stuck.
Or they got stuck.
And they just have to function here until they can figure something out too. I mean, that'd be kind of weird, huh?
Well, think about Roswell, right? Roswell was that wasn't on purpose. We didn't shoot down, even though the government's like, it's a weather balloon. Just want everybody to know it's a weather balloon. It's not a weather balloon. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm tired of hearing the weather balloon excuse. And the thing is that they it just pisses me off. But what, and I'm sure I'm going to be capped now but listen, so what's really horrible at that is that there were other crashes happening as well. Roswell wasn't the only one. There was another crash earlier that year and a month prior to Roswell. But that was an unfortunate event for that crash, for those individuals in that vessel. They did not mean to crash. They had a malfunction and they crashed. They crash landed. Now, imagine you and I are out on a flight.
It's not probably going to happen. Okay.
It's not on a plane, but I'm just talking, you know, hypothetically in a little scenario. We don't mean to crash, but we crash on a foreign land. Nobody knows us and we look weird to them, right? Like we land on the freaking moon, okay? We, in our nature, was to take them and test on them. But one was alive. Allegedly, one was alive, okay? We tortured it to death. We have statements now that have come out that have been AI technology proven true. And you guys can watch this on Roswell Final Verdict. Don is on there. And my friend Ben Hansen, my production partner. And it's amazing because the AI technology being used proves that their claims were true. And the government is trying to cover that up, obviously. But these were some amazing statements that everybody has questioned and said these people are they're crazy. But it's been proven true. And Don himself has even said, I've had whistleblowers and deathbed confessions of military men that have come forth and claimed and stated, we tortured it to death, Don. We tortured it to death. And it was a human being. It was like a being. It was like a human being. It was a living entity that we tortured to death.
That's horrible though, man.
But that's what we are, nature. We just don't look at it like, oh, you know, there's one alive. Let's talk to it. Imagine not being from this planet and crash landing. I want some people to understand the sympathy here for this poor thing. His two buddies are dead. And now these strange beings are picking you up, taking you to a base, going to cover up everything about you even being here. And they're going to put you in a freaking room and torture the hell out of you and cut you open until you literally die.
Well, they do that to us too. So it's equal. We're even.
Do they though?
I don't know. I mean, well, they stick stuff in our ass, I guess.
That's what that one.
They put beads in you and then they track you and they torture these people and they cry and some make adults like wet the bed out of terror and stuff. So I don't know, man. I think they do the same shit we do. But a lot of people think we're leftover aliens or part of them. So we're just doing what they taught us to do.
Well, it's really interesting, you know, I'm not going to lie. I think it's like 15% of the 30% of abductees have the ORH negative blood.
That's interesting.
So I was like, listen, don't come to my house. I don't have anything you want. All right. I'm closed up shop. You don't need anything from me anymore. I'm good. I
don't either.
Just keep on flying by. Yeah. Right. Like, you're like, you don't need me. You don't need me. But I found that interesting. And so it's like when they always talk about, well, where's the ORH negative fund? It's like, well, I don't know. ancient alien? Is it freaking extraterrestrial? Is it angel? But it's just weird to me that the percentage there is pretty high. And you go, what the fudge? Like, why? Why? And you have all the abduction cases, and it's freaking scary. And then you have people that have implants in their body. And there has been some that have been tested that have chemicals and stuff in them that are not in our known trace of science from our planet. So that's a little weird.
I'll say.
And it's an interesting path. And to hear these people, I mean, I do believe that there are some out there that are just seeking attention, which is hard to say because I do have to pinpoint who I feel is telling the truth and who isn't. You have to listen to everybody's claims. So within every field, there's somebody that's just not telling the truth. They just want 5 minutes of fame, obviously. But there are those that when you listen to them, you know, you feel the compassion. You're like, I'm sorry that happened to you. You just want to hug them. It's like, I'm so sorry. And it continues to happen. So you're like, I'm so sorry. It's terrible.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that.
So it's hard. I can't say that it didn't happen because I wasn't there. But you can live it. You can relive it with them. Like Betty and Barney Hill, I don't care what anybody says. To this freaking day, you can watch when they went under and how she reacted and how he reacted. They had time missing and everything. And her freaking dress. I mean, they found stuff on that dress that's not from here that she was wearing. You know, and their niece comes forward and talks about it all the time. And God love her. You know, I mean, it happened to them, and it was horrible. And for them, it was controversial at that time. You know, to have to come forward and say that, it was embarrassing. It ruined who they were and their reputation because of what happened to them. But it happened, and you can't cover it up.
You know, there's an abduction movie about somewhere in Alaska. It's called Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. Man, that fucking thing. The ending of that movie still makes me freaked out a little bit. That was, you're like, whoa. And if that really happened, no thanks. Will I be going to Nome, Alaska?
Well, you're in luck. You don't have to worry about it. It didn't happen in Nome. So you're good.
Where did it happen?
It was actually, so the story came about because in Nome, Alaska, they do have missing persons files. It's like 40 people, I guess, up to date. But they've done extensive research. And I mean, who's to say? I'm not saying that there wasn't any abductions or whatever, but there was a director writer who decided to take that and make it into an elaborate story and make it that there was this crazy abduction story.
No, did you see him use some of the footage next to the footage? That was like.
Yep. So but you don't have to worry. You're good. You don't have to worry. You're good. I think
I won't be going there. That's why it's good.
Well, you'd have to fly there. Nome is so tiny. The only way in and out is by flying. So you're not.
So I'll be safe.
You got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I know. Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. If you guys haven't seen it, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's terrible. What was that other one called? Do you remember the one with the? Oh, it's gonna friggin' mess me up now. But remember, it was the boy and his brother, and the aliens were coming, and she comes down the hall. And he kept saying, "Mom, I'm seeing these grays. I'm seeing the beings in my room or whatever." And she didn't believe him.
Was it Signs?
No, not Signs. It was it's gonna bug me. Somebody I'm sure knows what movie I'm talking about, and I'm sure when they're watching this, they'll put it in. If not, I'll text you later when I Google it because it's gonna bother me. But they end up taking him, and he's gone at the end of the movie. And I thought they were gonna make a sequel, and they never did. But he ends up like radioing his little brother at the end, and he's like, "I'm okay, I'm with them," or whatever. Which still gives me chills because it just bothers me. Like I believe in grays. And it just gives me, it really messes with me when I talk about it.
What movie was that? I mean, I saw that in
Hold on, I'll Google it. Hold on.
Encounters of the Third Kind. I saw some weird shit like that where the family went with the aliens.
I love Close Encounters. That is like, I love that freaking movie. And I've done night watches. And
I just because you like that kind of stuff.
I freaking love that stuff. But I when I do night watches, I really wish somebody would I want to do a reenactment in the night watch of what they did in Close Encounters. Alan Hynek actually makes a little cameo in there. Love it with his little pipe. I love him so much. Oh my God. But I mean, it's an amazing film, but you know how they did the music. So music is a universal language, right? It's mathematic. We use it in space right now because that's how we're trying to figure out if there are extraterrestrial, which people should look up the radio bursts and the radio signals that they're getting.
Yeah, some of the shit they say. Yeah.
They don't know where it's coming from.
Well, something ricocheted back a while ago. I was reading somewhere. I don't think it was fake. But when Hitler was out giving one of his large speeches, it actually came back and they picked it up again on satellite as if he was doing it now.
Wow. I
Yeah,
believe
I
that.
was like, what? And when Hitler got out and talked, he'd be talking some shit like, no, and he'd scream at people like, whoa, and when that guy would just scream, but it came back like that. And so
I
somewhere
believe it.
ricocheted back off either a meteor or something, and then it came back again that many years, shot back, and it was picked up, whatever it is, 700 miles an hour, 767 miles an hour, whatever it is, speed of sound. But it shot back years ago now, but not many years ago, but years ago, from what I was reading. And I'd really try to find that article again, but it was like a whole recording because they recorded it, but when it came back, it just fed back into the satellite that picked it up, and it was like one of Hitler's speeches. So what if an alien was like, this is why we don't like you. We're going to go ahead and send that speech back that you recorded back in the 40s, and we'd like you to listen, and we're going to tell you right now why we're going to fuck up your whole planet because of guys like this, right? Or those were our aliens that you did that to. That's why you didn't like those people, but they were us now. You're fucked. I mean, imagine that happening.
Right.
Like, we're just going to go ahead and send this recording back to these dicks. We're going to show them why we don't like them. I mean, if that kind of stuff is flying out there, I mean, imagine what they would think. If it was really super intelligent, it would be like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Or, he was exterminating humans at a rapid rate, and what if they don't like that, right? They stop wars and shit.
Yep.
According to what I read about, like, they'll stop certain wars, or during the Cold War, they stop things, or something supernatural, or alien came in and said, nope, this isn't going to happen, and they shut it down, or whatever it is. Just like I said, imagine if it was Hitler.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That they hated him because he did that nasty shit to somebody, dude, because he was a nasty motherfucker. I'm sure there'll be somebody who are like, Hitler was awesome, because you always have a troll, but
right.
But if I created this cool planet, I'm laying back, I'm a couple thousand years old, and I'm like, and I've got my own little thing going, because if you think about the life of an ant,
yeah,
in your life, we are like gods for the longevity difference of living. Human versus butterfly, or even human versus dog. Think about how many lifetimes a dog would get if they got to live our life. So if something greater than that's created something, and then someone like Hitler comes along and Shama, screaming whatever the fuck he was screaming and getting everybody killed, motherfuckers, at 6 million or whatever, and then it comes back, I would be thinking, hey man, I think that they recorded that and they're going to show us now why they're going to fuck us up. So,
well, that's like that's like in Egypt where they, and if you think about it, I thought about it for a really long time. I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Because you sit there and you go, wow, Egypt was really advanced. Ancient Rome, all those people, man, they were making advancements. Like now they're believing that they actually knew how to have light bulbs.
I'm sure they had a lot more than we think. Right.
And they're uncovering that. And it's blown their mind because they actually have found
all that shit's 10,000 years older than the Bible.
Oh, yeah. We're talking
10,000 years older than the Bible. And everybody thinks about the Bible. And the Bible's relatively new compared to some of the stuff. So there was a lot of time. Do you know what the difference between 10,000 years would do before?
Oh, a lot.
It would be closed. All the dirt would, look at the Sphinx. They only thought it was a head for a while until they dug it up and they found out it had feet and everything else. But look how many years it took.
Same thing happened on
What was it? Almost 100 years of excavating, from the time it started in the early 1900s till whatever, till they got it done. It was almost 100
and
years. I think. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think. What's that?
But they still haven't found it all.
Yeah, so think about that. So there's some crazy shit going on out there, man. But that's the twist I'm going to put on it. They're recording some shit that assholes are doing out there, like Castro and Omar Gaddafi, Hitler, and all them guys. And that's kind of funny that a few years ago, I don't remember the exact year, but remember the Middle East was going around destroying all the religious relics, even their own, just destroying everything. We're going to rewrite all this now, kind of thing. So, that's a whole other thing to get onto, but
yeah,
But
that's what I was saying.
Maybe Hitler's the reason that aliens are coming. They're going to kill us now.
That's not
because of that recording, because he was saying some nasty shit in there and pissed them off. But don't you find it interesting that they talk about there being pyramids in the Arctic?
Right? Yeah. Yep.
Don't you think it's funny? Don't you find it funny that Hitler was there first?
Listen. That's a whole other hour.
He was there. Like he was there. He wanted to collect all religious relics, but he was there before anybody else went. Before before anybody, before any other army, whatever the other army, British Army, before America got there and said, "Listen, motherfucker, you get out of here right now." I mean, he was already there trying to excavate whatever was down there.
Yes, and if you ask me, that is where the Nazi bell is. If you ask me, I believe that
that's a whole other thing to get started on, the Nazi bell. That was his Stonehenge. I mean, there was theories of him traveling through time. Now, some of the people that he had with him, let's just put it this way, folks. This is a fact you can't argue. If it wasn't for the Germans, we wouldn't be on the moon for the first time. For those of you that believe we went to the moon, it was his scientists that got us into space. Come on. So, I mean, those guys, they were like, "Hey, we're sorry. We didn't mean to work for you. We'll come do whatever you want." Well, listen, we'll get you on the moon. Can we live? Oh, sure. Come on in. Get us on the moon. So, I mean, there's a lot to that. I'm not really making that up. That's a very long stretch of the story, but it's true. Like there's truth to that. And you should look into that stuff. It's pretty fucking weird. So,
in a very short story, I believe that there's extraterrestrial activity in Egypt. I believe that they did help us. I think they influenced us a lot at that time. Sure. I believe they also influenced ancient Rome. That's why we have these crazy mythological beings. They all link up very much the same. And if you think about the Dark Ages, what do you think happened during the Dark Ages? It was like all the
Vikings and knights went around raping and killing. That's what
that's history. But what I'm saying is we were on such an intelligent race. We were learning so much and we were advancing, and all of a sudden it just stops. And we get into the Dark Ages, like we went back to ground zero. Why do you think that is? My theory is that our intelligence that was teaching us and grooming us to evolve into this intelligent race like their own pulled out because we weren't. All we were doing is murdering, slaughtering, and thinking of ourselves and not our world and what we could do and what we could greater do for everybody else. And in my opinion, I feel that they went, that's it, we're pulling out. They're going to self-corrupt. And it's just going to completely, this whole planet's going to be doing, we're out.
Well,
our planet to come back to. And I think that they were working in Antarctica. That's why we have pyramids in Antarctica. And I think that they pulled a lot of Egyptians and people, because if you look at the Mayans, they all of a sudden just disappeared. You want to explain that to me? We went through a dark age. We went through a moment where they pulled people and they took things and they did what they needed to do. And then when they keep coming back, they're like, nope, they're still stupid. Let's go. And don't waste our time. Like, they're not there yet. We can't come back yet.
Well, I could.
That's a joke. But,
we got 2 minutes left of the show, so I'll leave you an interesting theory.
I want to hear it.
Nobody talks about how aliens and stuff lived during the Egyptians and all this kind of shit. And, and aliens are this and that and whatever. And, they're the great ones. And they're pulling out. And we're going into the Dark Ages because people are pieces of shit. Well,
just saying, wasn't like they were.
What if the humans were the good guys, right? And we're the aliens, and we come from another planet. We saw what these little grays were doing down here, fucking shit up, ruining everything, and creating nuclear warheads and pipes of oil and whatever the hell else they blame humans for. And us humans have been fighting them for fucking thousands of years, battling back. And the Egyptians weren't really Egyptians. They come from another planet where their gods did have crocodile heads and snake heads, but they said, you got to go down there and fuck up those aliens down there because they're fucking up our whole perfect Earth we're trying to get to. And they're like, okay, we'll go. So take a suicide mission and they end up on the planet Earth. And here they are, and they're fighting these things, and it's still going on and on and on. But then the aliens went underground. They're like, listen, we got to get smart because we got to get them to hate each other. So let's just say that let's make the picture that we're the sweet, good guys, and all the people are torturing us and crashes, and they prod us and hurt us, and then we'll get half of them to not even believe in us, and then we'll be able to take over again. But at the end of the day, really, we'll make the humans hate each other, and we'll divide them just like their own government does. That's what we'll do, and then they'll hate everybody, and they'll say we're coming back, and then they'll use us to fear. And then when they get them all scared and everybody's in their house, we'll really rise up, and then we'll fuck all of them up. How about that? So that's how you're going to end that one. So at the end of the day, there's a twisted theory to everything you could do. And so who knows? They may be there, they may not, or they may be good or they may not be good. But at the end of the day, we talked about it. So I'll tell you what, folks, I appreciate you coming out. We just rolled 1 hour. Thanks for visiting, Brittany. I appreciate you coming on the show and helping out.
Yep. Had fun.
So I want to thank everybody for watching the show again. I know once again I said it was pre-recorded. We didn't do it live tonight. This is just because we're out of the town. And I will look forward to seeing all the comments and how everything goes. Thanks for the support, Brittany. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys next Sunday or in the comments. So have a great night.